Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about multiplying two binomials. In previous lessons, we've talked about multiplying a monomial by a polynomial consisting of two or three terms. Today we're going to be going more in depth in regards to multiplying two binomials together, or two polynomials consisting of only two terms. First, let's go ahead and recall multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. In order to do this, we're simply going to use the distributive property. Multiplying negative 5x by 3x, negative 5 times 3 is negative 15, x times x is x squared. Negative 5x times 4 is negative 20, and x times y simply gives me xy. Below, I distribute my negative 6mn to the third. Negative 6 times my first term of 4n gives me negative 24. M times m gives me m to the second power, and n to the third does not combine with anything, so it stays n to the third. Distributing to the 2n, negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. I still have m to the first, but my n is now raised to the fourth power. Now I distribute my 6y to all three terms. 6y times x squared is just 6x squared y. 6y to the second term of 6xy gives me a positive 36 x, and since I have y times y, I now have y squared. 6y times negative 8y squared gives me negative 48, and y times y squared is y to the third power. Distributing again my negative 4xy to the third on the front. Negative xy to the third times 2x squared gives me negative 8, x to the third power, y to the third. Negative 4 times negative 6 gives me positive 24. X times x is x squared, and y to the third times y is y to the fourth. Negative 4 times negative 2 for my last term gives me positive 8. X and y to the third times y squared is y to the fifth power. We're going to go from here into multiplying two binomials together. Just as in the previous slide, I have something on the front of my 7x plus 4 set of parentheses. I am going to take that entire thing and distribute to the 7x and the positive 4. What I end up with is the 7x times what I'm distributing, which is now a whole 6x plus 4, plus 4 times what I'm distributing, which is the 6x plus 4. From here, I can distribute my 7x. 7x times 6x is 42x squared. 7x times 4 is a positive 28x. Plus, I'll distribute my 4 to get 24x plus 16. I now have 42x squared, and since these two terms in the middle are like terms, I may add their coefficients. 28 plus 24 is a 52x, so positive 52x plus 16. And we leave it because we cannot simplify further. Again, down below, I have a 5x minus 7 in front of my 4x minus 4 parentheses. I'm going to distribute that to both terms in my second set of parentheses. So I end up with 4x times the 5x minus 7 that I'm distributing, minus 4, again multiplied by the 5x minus 7 that I'm distributing. From here, I go one step further and distribute. 4x times 5 and 4x times negative 7 gives me 20x squared minus 28x squared. Distributing my negative 4, I get minus 20x plus 28. Combining these like terms in the middle, I have 20x squared minus 48x plus 28. Lastly, I'm going to take this 5x plus 6 and multiply it by both things in the other parentheses. So I end up with 8x times the 5x plus 6 that I am distributing, plus 1 times the 5x plus 6 that I am distributing. I now distribute the 8x to get 40x squared plus 48x. Distributing the positive 1, I have a positive 5x, so plus 5x, and positive 6, so plus 6. Combining my like terms in the middle, I end up with 40x squared. 48 plus 5 gives me a positive 53x plus 6. Please take a moment to pause the video and try these next three on your own. For the first, you should have 12m squared plus 47m plus 21. For the second, 12p squared minus 22p plus 8. And for the third, 6r squared plus 2r minus 48. I'm now going to introduce a process that we call FOILing. First, we'll begin by multiplying these two binomials, how we just did on our previous screens. Step 1, I am going to take what is in front of my 2r plus 6 and distribute it to the 2r and the 6. I end up with 2r times 7r minus 5 plus 6 times 7r minus 5. From here, we distribute the 2r and we distribute the 6. So what ends up happening is we multiply everything in one set of parentheses by everything in the other set of parentheses. We're distributing the 2r to both terms in the other set of parentheses, and we're distributing the 6 to both terms in the other set of parentheses. I end up with 14r squared minus 10r plus 42r minus 30. Combining like terms, I have 14r squared plus 32r minus 30. Now if I go about this a slightly different way, I'm going to take my 7r minus 5 and multiply by 2r plus 6. But instead of distributing that entire 7r minus 5, I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut. We said in this second step here, all we've really done is multiplied everything in one set of parentheses by everything in the other set of parentheses. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I am going to take my 7r and multiply it by both things in the other set of parentheses. 7r times 2r gives me 14r squared. 7r times a positive 6 gives me positive 42r. I'll then distribute the second term to both terms in the other set of parentheses. Negative 5 times 2 gives me minus 10r. And negative 5 times positive 6 gives me a negative 30. If you notice, that is almost exactly what we had in our second step on the left-hand side. So from here, when I combine my like terms, I still end up with 14r squared plus 32r minus 30. Down below in the second, I'm going to go ahead and do it both ways again. I'm going to take my x minus 2 and distribute. I end up with 4x times x minus 2 minus 5 times x minus 2. Distributing my 4x, I get 4x squared minus 8x. Distributing my negative 5, I get negative 5x plus 10. Combining these like terms, I have 4x squared minus 13x plus 10. Now, my second option is to take everything from each set of parentheses and multiply it by everything in the other parentheses. So I am going to take first my x and multiply it by the 4x and then by the negative 5. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Second, I'm going to take my 2 and multiply it by both terms in the other set of parentheses. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8x, and negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. Again, as you notice, this is almost identical to the second step that we had on the left. Now combining like terms in the middle, I have 4x squared minus 13x plus 10, which is the same thing that we ended up with on the left. So now on the bottom, I am going to skip distributing the 5r plus 4 and simply distribute my 5r to both terms on the right and distribute my 4 to both terms on the right. Distributing my 5r times 3r is 15r squared. Multiplying 5r by negative 3, I have negative 15r. Next, multiplying my positive 4 by 3, I have positive 12r. And multiplying positive 4 by negative 3, I have negative 12. Combining like terms in the middle, I have 15r squared minus 3r minus 12. The word FOIL is simply an acronym to help you remember how to multiply. When I take my 5r and multiply it by the 3r, those are the first terms in each parentheses. So F stands for first. We're simply multiplying the first terms together. After I multiplied by the 3r, I multiplied by the negative 3. These are the outermost terms in your expression. So the O in our acronym stands for the outer terms. Once you multiply the first terms in each parentheses, you multiply the outermost terms in your parentheses. Once I did that, I then multiplied the 4 by the 3. Those are the innermost terms in your parentheses. So I stands for the inner terms. And L stands for your last. So once I multiplied the inner terms, I took my positive 4 multiplied by negative 3, and those were the last terms in each set of parentheses. Go ahead and try both of these. Pause the video, take a moment to practice, and I'll put the answers up in just a moment. From your first, you should have had 8r squared plus 14r minus 49. Second, 7x squared minus 36x minus 48. And third, 14n squared plus 13n minus 12. Our last thing to talk about today is when you take a binomial and raise it to the second power. Well, remember, raising something to the second power simply means multiplying that base by itself. So I'm going to take 3n plus 2 and multiply it by itself 2 times. From here, we are going to go ahead and FOIL. My first terms are 3n and 3n. Multiplying those gives me 9n squared. My outer terms, 3n and a positive 2, gives me positive 6n. My innermost terms are 2 and 3n, which also give me a positive 6n. And my last terms, 2 times 2, gives me positive 4. Adding the like terms in the middle, I end up with 9n squared plus 12n plus 4. Again, all I'm going to do here is expand it by writing it as 5a plus 1 times 5a plus 1. Then I FOIL. Multiplying my first terms, I have 25a squared. Outer terms, I have a positive 5a. Inner terms, I have another positive 5a. And my last terms, 1 times 1 is a positive 1. Combining like terms in the middle, I have 25a squared plus 10a plus 1. Go ahead and pause the video and try the last one on your own. You should have 16k squared minus 48k plus 36. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.